I am the founder of, I am the
Si l'épisode est
founder
revenu encore une fois, elle en faisait la YouTube, alors prépare-toi.
and I am the founder of Dela Wellness Foundation. So the Wellness.
Can we hear you all?
Oh, there you go. I went mute for some reason. I don't know how much you listen to, but maybe
We
I should
need to
say
hear
it all
you again. It's all technical.
All right, let's go again. Okay, so my name is Dela, and I am the founder of Dela Wellness Foundation. Now, the foundation is all about promoting healthy relationships and preventing abuse. So today is basically the first topic of a series of different things that we're going to have, discussions that we're going to have. The first one happens to be about abuse, but there'll be lots of other things basically stemming around healthy relationships and how we can prevent them and how we can move forward, some of the signs and different things like that. So I'm really excited and a little bit nervous. I won't lie to you all here, but yeah, I think we're pretty much good to go. But I would also love to introduce my guests as well, who are also from the States. So perhaps you guys can introduce yourselves one at a time. Maybe Sheila, you want to go first?
Yes, absolutely. Can you guys hear me?
We can.
Okay. Hi, I'm Sheila Hobbs, and I am the founder and the president of Epic Women Survival, which is a nonprofit for battered women. And what we do for them when they come out the safe house to shelter anywhere in the U.S., we pay their first month rent, application, and security deposit. And so now we're adding more programming to the cause, and hopefully we'll be able to help women do more and to succeed in their life. I'm glad to be here. I'm excited. Thank you, Dela, for having me.
I'm so happy that you're here. Really, I am. I cannot wait to pick your brains.
Thank you.
And I also have Dee here as well. Dee, would you like to introduce yourself? Oh, you're on mute. No, we can't hear you yet. Maybe down the bottom of your screen, you might see a mic.
Can you hear me now? Okay,
Yeah,
I'm sorry about that. Hi, everybody. I am Dee Towson. My foundation is Unbreakable Souls. I was a battered woman, so my passion is helping other women like me to survive, to help come out of battered situations and abuse, to help them regain their own independence and hopefully reclaim their life back. So I'm excited to be here as well.
Nice, lovely, lovely. I'm very excited, you guys, for today. So today's topic, as I said before, is going to be about abuse. And I'm going to kick off with the first question because in fact, I want you guys to give me a little bit of your backstory first because we don't really know that much about you. So maybe Sheila, you can jump in and let us know what your story is and how you got to this point.
So basically, my background is both it's been physical and verbal abuse. So that happens, oh God, over so many years ago, that I kind of just hadn't moved past it. And how I became the founder and president of Epic Women Survival was just God. It was just, I was in a moment where the pandemic had happened and I was working on several businesses. And so the Holy Spirit just kind of ushered me into this place and gave me Epic Women Survival. I did some research on nonprofits and I just used what was difficult for me in my life. And raising 3 children, most of the time it was about, getting the first month rent, application fee, and security deposit. And those are very challenging for me sometimes because the places that I would choose to live were the cost of rent was, first month and last month. Sometimes you have to pay all of it. And so I thought, why not take that, what I know about, and use that to help some individual who's struggling with that. And then it became more deeper. I started meeting women who had also been abused and who had also went through verbal or physical abuse of all kinds. And so I wanted to just reach them in a different way. But I wanted to be in a natural setting where they didn't feel like they had to, because I know one thing, there's a lot of shame attached to abuse, be it verbal or be it physical. And women don't like to discuss that. They don't like to talk about it. It makes them feel like they did something wrong. And what I tell women is that it's never your fault. And, the things that you have to look for and signs of, other people being abused. And if that person has been through any type of emotional, physical, or mental abuse, then you want to look for that in them, because usually hurt people hurt other people. And that's just the bottom line. They've been through something, and they bring what they've been through into what you guys have. So, like I said, I'm just here. I am champion for this cause. I want women to not only be, free of financial situations and be able to move forward, but I just want them to know that they're just a beautiful human beings, and they can move forward from any situation.
Yeah, absolutely. I almost forgot, but I also have Oluremi here, who is my lovely guest. She's been helping me with us so much. Perhaps, Oluremi, you want to introduce yourself as well?
Sure. We have another guest that just arrived too. So I am Oluremi Sano. I am the founder and CEO of Spark and Flow with Oluremi LLC. I also have a nonprofit, which is called Fihankra Global Education. And I have the honor and privilege of working with all three of these young ladies, right? Everybody who has their foundation in the capacity of executive business coach. I'm here because the conversation is definitely something that we want to be able to have families participate in, whole families, because the only way that we get better is for the whole family to get better. So we do have men and women on today. And I'm just happy that we can establish these global conversations, because we know that domestic violence is not isolated in one geographic area, but we also need to pull together and hold hands and lift the cultures that we know we come from, meaning that we know we have the tools to kind of move beyond some of these things, but we have to be able to hold each other accountable. We have to be able to, like Sheila said, help people heal from things that they might not even know, and it's coming out in a way where they are hurting other people. And so I'm happy to be here with you all too, and definitely want to see this series grow.
Lovely. Okay, Dee, would you like to introduce yourself and let us know how you got your foundation started?
I got my foundation started because I myself was personally an abuse victim. I was in an abusive relationship for about 18 years. You name it, physical, mental, verbal, sexual, financial, you name it, I was in that situation. And coming out was the hardest thing to do. Typically, a lot of times people lose their lives trying to come out. But like I said, God, he truly blessed me, because he ended up passing away. And if he hadn't passed away, seriously, I honestly don't know if I would be out of the situation that I was in today, because it's fearful. It's fearful when you don't know, like Sheila said, when you don't know how you're going to pay your first month's rent or last month's rent and your security deposit, not to mention you got utilities and groceries and things that come along with it. And especially when you have small children that you have to care for that depend on you too. So when I came out of abuse, I just wanted to be a avenue to help people like me get on their feet again. Because as Oluremi said, it's not Oluremi, Sheila, I'm sorry. As Sheila said, it is very shameful. We feel like people judge us, and we feel like, shame on us. So it's my goal to help people not feel that way, and to help them get back on their feet and learn independence and be able to live like I'm living today.
Powerful stories. I mean, first of all, I just want to say thank you for being open enough to share your stories, because like you said, there is a shame stigma sort of attached to it. So be able to move past that you have to be very, very strong. So I commend you both absolutely for that. So it's amazing. Yeah. So I just want to ask a question. So what would you say are some of the common misconceptions about abuse that people are not aware of? What do you think? Maybe Sheila?
I think sometimes when you get into relationships, you don't really get to know the person. And so that's one of the things that's common. People kind of go into relationships, not everyone, but most women, because we are natural nurturers of, children. We feel like we have to nurture the person that we're with. And we almost become like a mother to everyone. And so sometimes you can miss those signs just because, you care about the person, and the person is in your life, and you tend to say, okay, well, maybe this was just a mistake the first time. But for me, that first hit for me was shocking. And it was like, I knew I had to do something about it. And also I had to protect the children that I had with me, which was my children. And so you kind of, those are the misconceptions I think that's surrounded this. We don't realize that we shouldn't be a punching bag for anyone, be it verbally or physically, mentally, or what have you. We should live our lives, just naturally and free, just as, just like the men can do. So I think for women, we just have to be more aware, and just, when we see something, we answer the call.
Yeah. But do you think that most people are only familiar with domestic abuse, like violent types of abuse? Do you think there are other types of abuse that people perhaps don't talk about as much?
Oh, verbal abuse is I feel like verbal abuse stays with you longer. If someone can hit you, you can heal from a punch or a slap or a push. Uh, not that that's not bad. It really is. But when someone is talking down to you and calling you out of your name and saying things to you that for yourself not to be true, and they want you to believe those things because that's a form of control. So once I can weaponize you in your mind, I have you under my control, and I can keep you there as long as you allow me to. So yeah, there are so many other abuses too, and finances is one. People that have the money, most women stay because they can't take care of themselves, or they fear they can't. And so they'll stay because of the finances. They'll stay because a person who holds the purse string is, has the power, so to speak. So yeah, we have so many different ways that abuse happens. Is you just have to be aware that this is what's happening, and not be misguided by the fact that you should stay just because you don't have finances to move around. So
so what about for you, Dee? What would you say are some common misconceptions about abuse?
I think that people really misconstrue when they think that when they think about when they're judging, because a lot of people say, I wouldn't stay, or, oh, that couldn't be me, and things like that. They don't know the inside workings of manipulation, of being beat down, of losing your self-worth, the fears that comes along with it. It's a lot more than a kick. It's a lot more to it than any of that. So I think that oftentimes plays a big part in it, of not knowing, of living on the outside and not looking on the inside.
I think you make a really great point, actually, because sometimes, we see things in black and white. So we just feel like, well, if it was me and the first time I'm getting hit, I'm going to walk away, or the first time he's abusive, I'm going to walk away. But actually, there are so many other things that are at play. So, you have your emotions, you think about your children, you think about all the things like that aspect of shame. There are so many other things. So it makes it very difficult to make a clear-cut decision and say, okay, look, this is it, I'm going to walk away. And especially that shame thing, it's really, really, really strong. It's very present. And so it's easy to judge from the outside and say, this could never happen to me. But the truth is, the reality is that abuse can happen to anybody, and you can be in it for years, as we've all said, could be in it for years and just be stuck there. And sometimes you don't even know that you're in a situation where you're even being abused until perhaps maybe someone points out to you. It's very, it's a difficult place to be,
How about you, Della? How about you? Do you have what was your personal experience with abuse? Was it mental? Was it financial? What was it?
I've not really shared my story fully, but mine was definitely a lot of emotional abuse, a lot of control, manipulation. And it's been very, very difficult for me to even get to this point where I begin to even talk about it, because I still have a lot of things to get over mentally, because I feel bad for talking about it, even because I feel like I'm making the other person look bad. Part of me still wants to protect that person. And it's just been something that has been in me that I've struggled with for a long time. And I just feel like I can't be the only person struggling with this. I remember I did a podcast some time ago, and I was interviewing this lady, and she said to me, if I had a black eye, it would have been easier for me to walk away. And that resonated with me so much because I just thought that is the absolute truth. Because you see a black eye, you tell yourself, okay, this is a black eye, I'm hurt, this is what the person's done. But when it's emotional, how do you explain this? You can talk yourself out of it. The other person can gaslight you to say, it wasn't like that. You know, you're not thinking straight, you know, so you start to doubt yourself. And so that's kind of like where I've come from. So it's very difficult. So I can relate to both these ladies' stories fully.
I also wanted
Yeah.
to say that with the series being on family wellness, I think like when we are challenging people to move the needle to wellness and to heal from some of these things, that a lot of times people's personal status come in, like people who are strong sometimes don't want to talk about the fact that they've been abused. People who have you know, people who are in the limelight, or people who are maybe, you know, business people, because of their stature, a lot of times they don't want to talk about, you know, abuse. But the thing is, if we are keeping the focus on the core, which is family wellness, then hopefully people can talk about it from whatever perspective they're coming from, because the goal is family wellness and not to tear somebody down. So people who have experienced abuse, or people who might have been abusive, who may need to check and challenge themselves and see how they can do things differently, the goal would be to do it from the core of family wellness, not necessarily like that person being torn down in the process of having to, you know, somebody else being healed. And that part, I think we need to really nurture across this series. Does that make sense? I think we need to talk about it more, and people hopefully find themselves on whatever part of the spectrum. But the goal is always to be in better families, and to be able to show children different models and different models for behavior, because it doesn't stop just with the person who's experiencing it. It's like the whole family is affected.
Ripple effect for sure. Yeah, definitely.
I haven't personally experienced abuse, like physical abuse, or sometimes you have to wonder if it's if emotional abuse, you know. But more so, more so probably not. I don't think I've been in abusive situations, because I tend to leave them before they get that way, because I think my natural reflex is to um maybe do something that's not good. So I don't allow myself to be in those situations, you know. And then at the same time, I think the filter, when I say allow myself, meaning like I don't want something to happen to somebody that tries to abuse me. You know what I mean? And I feel like I feel like it would. I really do feel like it would. So, but that's not healthy either, you know. So we have to keep our
Yeah.
you know, yeah. But I really like this the idea of trying to, you know, nurture these conversations where people can see men and women and children who have come behind us in families. We want to be able to keep the families whole, because people don't know how sometimes even just talk to each other. It's not always physical, but how do you talk to somebody? Like, why are you choosing to talk to them in a way where it's battering them or beating their spirit down, or you know what I mean?
Absolutely. I think another important question to ask is, what are some of the early signs of abuse? Because sometimes we may not see these things. Maybe they're creeping into the household and we haven't seen it yet. So what would you say are some of the signs? I don't know who wants to go first, Sheila or Dee, perhaps wants to address that.
What I've seen is you know, a lot of times, like I said again, going back to money, sometimes the person can they can weaponize you with the money. You know, they can have the purse string, and if you are the person that's on the other side of it and you're dependent on that person, then a lot of times you go along because you know that if that person leaves, then the money is gone. You know, and you can't live your life fully the way that you want to, and that's just a mental part of it. That's the way we first think. But after a while of being in that situation, eventually you come to the realization that you can make it without the person financially, because there are so many other avenues for women today that they don't have to, you know, stay in the relationship because of that, because women are breadwinners as well today. But so many years ago, that wasn't the case. And so a lot of that has been a stigma around abuse. Another sign I would say would just be control. And sometimes the control doesn't seem like control right away, because the person is witty enough to know that they can't show that right away. So they first come out really engaging and friendly and nice until you get all the way into the situation. And then that's when you'll start seeing signs of insecurity, you know, that just they don't want you to have your own thoughts, don't want you to have your own ideas about life, and they don't want you to have friends, so they isolate you. And they do that by either, if your friends come around, they can be like, you know, very mean toward the friends, saying negative things that would drive them away, showing them, you know, control, you know, aspects of the relationship. So you have to be very careful with that, because that can kind of, you know, be like a sneak attack, so to speak. It's not really out front, but if they're saying something mean to a person that they see that care about you, they realize they can run that person away quickly. So that's the isolation. They try to get you alone. And so it's so many tactics and tricks to this thing, you know. But those are some of the few that I have witnessed, and I've saw, not just with my situation, with people around me now. I can identify really fast when a guy is an abuser or a potential abuser or even a controller, which leads to abuse. And so that's kind of the things that I've experienced.
What about for you, Dee? What were some of the early signs, or what have you noticed?
Well, like Sheila said, control, manipulation, jealousy, isolation, all things of those sorts. Because when you verbally abuse somebody, then they start to feel low enough about themselves that they can let you isolate them from your friends, from their family. You know, jealousy is a very big one, and it oftentimes it shows itself first. It's one of the first signs that normally shows up.
No, I understand. So what would you say are some of the challenges that survivors face? Maybe you can use your own personal experiences, that when you decide to talk about this or take a step and say, okay, this is enough, I've had enough, I'm gonna break away. What are some of the challenges that a survivor would face typically?
Well, you know, people don't.
I personally, go ahead, Dee, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Sheila.
Okay, sorry. So I would say that's something that you shouldn't talk about. That's something that you shouldn't let the person that's the abuser know that. I think that you have to make your own personal plans of how you're going to exit the relationship. But I think what the biggest, because a lot of young women have lost their life just saying that I'm leaving. So I don't think that's a smart thing to do. I think that the smartest thing to do is make your plan unknown to your abuser. And, you know, that's the best way to leave, because if you start verbally stating these things that you're going to do, that just makes them more aggressive in the things that they're doing. So, Dee, I'll let you finish with what you were going to say.
Okay, Dela, repeat the question again.
Okay, so what are some of the challenges that a survivor might face when they're trying to leave an abusive relationship?
They don't have a place to go. Financial situations. Sometimes they don't have vehicles. They definitely need people they can trust. There are so many situations that survivors really face trying to become survivors. You know, you always have to have a plan, and you have to, if that plan is not executed, like Sheila said, you can definitely lose your life. So it's a lot more that goes into it than people would actually really think when you're trying to leave an abusive relationship.
Hey, Dela, I have an extended part of that question. You have, because we do have all three of you all who have foundations, who the foundations are set up in a way where you want to be able to nurture that process. So how about if each one of you talk about the services that you have? I know Sheila mentioned that she has the first month's rent and some other things that she does for to contribute to people, but I know Dee's services are really, really good for her area, Monroe, Louisiana. Sheila's in Coolidge, Texas. You're in Ghana. Like, what are some of the services and things that you will be offering in your foundation to help people through those situations? Because y'all know that these things, these obstacles are in place.
Okay. Some of the services that we offer, we're offering safe houses with education. We have clothes closets. We have what we call baskets of love, and they are hygiene products, washing powder, all types of things that you need in everyday living. They're basically essential bundles that we do. We are working to build our Unbreakable Youth Mentorship Program, where we mentor kids and we provide therapy for them that have been in abusive relationships with families, because it was important for me and my children. I wasn't offered anything like that. So it was important for me to make this an extended part of my program so that kids like my kids can have therapy, somebody to talk to, somebody, because my kids didn't have that, and they were affected as well. Abuse doesn't just affect me personally. It didn't just affect me personally. It affected my entire family. It affected my kids. It affected my parents. It affected everybody that loved me and cared for me. So that healing also needs to come with it, and with us realizing that we are affecting not just us, but everybody connected to us.
Yeah, no, that's great. I think for me, mine's probably slightly different to yours. So for me, the services that I want to offer is I want to be able to catch people before they get to the stage where it has become an abusive situation. So for me, it's very much about educating people on what a healthy relationship is, so that they see the red flags, they see the warning signs before they get there. So I'm sort of trying to capture probably a younger age, but then I also want to provide some services. So my aim is to actually have some transitional homes for people as well, because as you say, once you're going to leave a situation, you need to know where you're going, because without knowing where you're going, how you gonna take the next step? So I really want to get to a place of being able to provide accommodation for people that need to exit quickly, clothes, whatever, and obviously maybe some sort of counseling services as well for people, because coming out from that situation, there's a lot that goes on in your minds that you need to be able to pick yourself up, to know what's your next move going to be, because you might have left a situation very quickly and not had time to even plan. So that's kind of the services that I want to be able to offer from my foundation. What about you, Sheila?
So basically what happens, I get the ladies when they're coming out of the safe house. So they have to have already went through the programming. They have to already be gainfully employed. And then they get the chance to go out and pick their own place. We deal with the landlords directly. So the landlord and I are who, we talk about first month rent, application fee, and security deposit. All that goes directly to the landlord. So I really sometimes never meet the women unless they want requests to see me. And I have met a few, and I went to their homes after they've gotten the place, and just encourage them. And they seem very happy to be there, and to know that there's someone like a uncle or a cousin or a friend or a family member that was there to help them to move to the next step. So yeah, so I think that's next step is very vital for them to have someone that they can come to and say, hey, I need this support. And so that's where Epic Women's Survival comes in.
Nice.
Okay, perfect. All right, so I think I'm going to ask one final question before we open up the chat, because I'm sure maybe some other people would like to contribute as well. So we'll open up some Q&As for that. So my last question is, what do you think are some important steps that people who are survivors need to take in order to rebuild their lives?
I think counseling and therapy would be really good for them. It helps to talk to somebody that has been in your situation, because somebody that has never been in your situation, it's hard. They can give you some advice, but they really can't give you the advice that you truly need, because they've never been in that situation. So I think therapy and counseling and getting to know, like, even if you go into survival group settings or something like that with other people like you, really helps.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so maybe we can open up the floor for anybody that has any questions for any of us, or perhaps wants to know a little bit more about abuse, any type of abuse that would like, if they would like to ask anything, we can do that. Does anybody have any questions at all? You're free to join the chat.
Hello, can you
Hi.
hear me? Hi.
Morning.
Good morning. I want to thank Sheila for inviting me to this Zoom meeting. I am just coming out of a relationship that was more so emotionally abusive, 36 years. And I'm still sort of struggling with, I kind of like feel stuck because some of it is financial. And then another is I was in a relationship for 35 years. So I'm kind of just feeling stuck. And I've been praying to God asking me to just kind of, move on, help me to move on. But it's been quite difficult.
Yeah.
Being that I'm looking at the long term, I'm looking at my age, I'm looking at, retirement, all of that. And it's really been just kind of difficult to just break all ties.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
Miss,
I can definitely relate to you because mine was a similar situation. So mine was for 18 years. So although mine wasn't as long as you, I can definitely relate to the mental aspect of it, and also trying to get over a lot of hurdles and trying to get out of your own head sometimes, because sometimes we over process things. So first of all, I just want you to let you know that you're not alone. You're definitely not the only person that's struggling and going through it. And I just want to thank you for showing up and, just listening and just being here, really, because, the more we talk about these things, the more that maybe we can help someone else, the more we can share ideas. So I just really want to encourage you, honestly, that, you're doing great. You're doing great. No matter what position you're in right now, you're doing great. You've taken a step and you know that it was a bad situation and you've been able to remove yourself from there. So that's wonderful.
Thank you.
Yes, congratulations, Sandra. Thank you for coming and being a part. I was sending out invites late last night, and I ran across Sandra, and I was like, I have to send one to Sandra. We're praying for you, Sandra. And listen, every one of us know that it's hard the first time to make that first initial step, but you made it. And so now
Yes.
everything is uphill from here. So you basically just have to heal, and you have to own that this is not your fault. None of these things are our fault. We can be victims to other people's bad situations that they've had in their past. And
Yes.
so that's basically what it is. Sometimes we're just victims to someone else's situations. But I want to say that today that I am a survivor. I'm free. I don't have to, think about it. And it's been, oh God, almost 30 years for me. But I want to say that time passes really fast once you get on the other side of the situation. And so, yeah, I just know that we're here for you.
Thank you.
I also want to say too, I think it's helpful for people to be able to find pathways. So, Sandra, if there's something that you need, there's a way to reach out. I know you have contact with Sheila, but there are pathways forward for situations like this, whether it is financial, whether it is like career wise, or whether it's needing a place to stay so that you actually have a full break and are able to start over. Because a lot of times people just don't have a clear pathway of where they can go. I have a friend right now experiencing something like that, where she doesn't really feel in her mind that she has a clear pathway, and she's never paid bills before on her own. So it's really a challenge for her that, like leaving a situation that's not the healthiest because she doesn't see the pathway clearly, but now she's starting to get those things. So, if you need to have some nurturing through that, then just reach out and we can help plug you in.
Okay, I really appreciate it. I will need those pathways.
Mhm.
Right.
Does anybody have anything else that they'd like to share? Maybe some words of encouragement or anything like that.
We have a couple of people and one new person came on.
Okay. Yeah.
I actually wanted to mention also that this virtual series, bringing people together across the Atlantic, is very important because we also invited a group from Kenya. They weren't able to come today, but there's a foundation that was set up specifically for one of the world-renowned long-distance runners. Y'all know a lot of times the long-distance runners come from Kenya. And one of the young ladies who had just won the world race in long distance running in 2021 was killed by her husband from domestic violence. She did not make it out. She did make it out once, but she went back and then he killed her. So that is actually still being processed in Kenya right now. But we are bringing together organizations like the ones on here and like that one in Kenya. Her friends now have a full foundation set up in her honor. And they also did not know that so many people in their area and in their profession have the same thing. So just by her story, people are coming out and saying, hey, I'm experiencing the same thing. One is because of the dynamic of money. Because when the runners start making money and they've never had that money before, then people in their family start to want to be a part of that. And so we want to be able to just, keep bringing people together across the globe with these conversations. And then the other thing is that there will be pathways created right from this series, because we want to be able to show people, women, men, whoever, ways that they could start businesses, ways that they can create collaborations across businesses, and ways that they can create a different pathway for themselves right from this type of opportunity. It doesn't have to be gloom all the time. It can, like, your experiences are supposed to teach you, and then you're able to move on.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a very important point, actually, because it's not necessarily, this isn't a message of doom and gloom. It's a message of progression. It's like, okay, so this has happened. How do I turn this into something and make something of myself? Or how do I help other people? There's got to be something positive that comes out of it. And that's why the series is being created, so that we can take a step. Let's remove the thing of shame and all of those negative things. And let's look forward to how we can be progressive, and do it together, because none of our foundations can do it individually by ourselves. We can't. If we want to reach a global market, we have to work together. That's the only way to do it. So I'm glad that this is the first topic, and I'm really looking forward to, talking and working with you guys a lot more as well.
Well, I am too. I think that it's important that we share our resources and our information, because that helps us to not only save more lives, which is a campaign that I just recently started, Epic Lives Saved. And it's a campaign based around the children that are left behind. One of my Epic Lives Saved candidates, she lost her life August of 2023 at 23 years old, by her baby's father, which was supposed to be a murder-suicide, which he lived. She passed away. She left a 3-year-old daughter behind. So that campaign kind of was birthed out of that. And so knowing that these kids are here, they're still here. They still have, a heartbeat. And so we have to go after helping them, to whoever is going to be the caregiver or whoever's going to provide for them. Then I'm sure it's going to be a burden for financially. So that's what we're doing now to raise money. So those are all types of campaigns that are being born every day out of situations. I'm here for it.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a couple of men on. I would like to hear maybe some male perspectives, because it's good to hear the male perspective. With the focus being on family wellness and us being able to try to lift up as much as we can those things that are positive, and how we can move families forward, heal from some of the things that we know. Sometimes things are passed down in a family and people just don't know how to step out of the habitual behaviors of families. But if there are any male perspectives here that people want to share, you can do that, because it's important to hear voices from both sides, you know, for our culture to be able to move forward in community. And if not,
this is Zahir.
hi Zahir.
Hi.
Olu,
Hi,
thank you
Zahir.
so much for inviting me
You're
to
welcome.
this symposium. From my side, my name is Zahir Nganga. I'm based out of Dallas. And I'm here because Olu is helping me actually, my foundation for my late son who committed suicide.
Mhm.
But also in terms of women abuse and things like that, I understand that because I have a sister who lives with me, our youngest one, who has 5 kids from Kenya, came here and got a green card through women abuse. She actually, when she landed, the first thing she said, she wants to get asylum, and she was in jail. I mean, confinement, and during COVID, and the idea was she had been abused. She got married when she was like 15, and I was in the States, so I could really not do much for her. And but there was so much pain you could see from her being married at such a young age and having 5 kids, and the dude was just a horrible human being. So anyway, she ended up getting a green card. She's trying to get a family here. Very shy, introvert person. So I'm encouraging her even this today to like start, engaging. So I'm here on her behalf to encourage her to start listening to this kind of thing. So, I feel like it's a good empowerment, it's a good vehicle. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for coming, and thank you for contributing that, because we, really, as much as we can, if we can extend our hand to people through organizations and through just regular family, families connecting with other families, it's very important for us to see how just one touch sometimes can bring people up and lift people up. But also it's inspiring to see Sheila, Dee, and Della and everyone, even you with Zahir with your son committing suicide, to see people continue to move forward and create pathways for themselves beyond situations, because life is life, and we have to be able to see, like Sheila, you mentioned something a while back, very important, like just you have to be able to see yourself forward and see a different vision for yourself. And look at you, you have so much going for you now. You're in a loving relationship. I love talking to you and Mr. Hobbs. They both are very, very good business people. And, you can tell that they love and adore one another, but they also share a lot. They live on some acres of land. And, I learn a lot about their family history and things like that through just their being open. But look, you might not have seen that years ago, but you sure see it now, and you've made such a great contribution back to other people. So
Yeah. So you have to take your pain and turn it into power. And so that's what I have done with Epic Women Survival, not even knowing that this was a horizon for myself. But now that I champion this, I know that there are so many other avenues and pathways to helping other women. And so hopefully working together, we can all kind of come up with a concept that would make this all make sense as to what we're doing today.
Yeah. And what like with both opportunities, we have the what family wellness and domestic violence prevention, but also suicide prevention, because we want to, like what Della was saying just a little while ago, we want to be able to catch people earlier so that they can identify these things and identify what they need, even with young people and mental wellness, being able to identify things that they can, and people, organizations, different things that they can grab their hands on and be able to identify like some of these things ahead of time, where they can find help and find refuge without feeling like they're by themselves, and they can't move beyond it. So this is very important. This is a global outreach, y'all. I am so happy for everybody that's been a part of it. We have over, I think we have about 10 or 11 people for this very first one. But I think what we need to see is that the outreach, the global outreach that we can have with these type of topics is unlimited. It's unlimited. So the next time that we come back together, you know, each person can invite other people. You can invite all of your constituents from your own organization, and you can invite people who might need to find themselves somewhere along the way on these on this, you know, in this spectrum. But we need to be able to start cultivating whole families. What do you think, Dela?
Absolutely, I completely agree with you. It starts with a discussion and, you know, reaching out, helping each other. And, you know, the more we talk about these things, the more we're able to springboard other people forward as well, so that perhaps some of the mistakes we make, they don't have to make. I'm a firm believer in that, you know, so I'm really happy that this has started. And I think we should just continue going down this road and, you know, helping as much as we can and work together as a team. Let's collaborate a lot more.
We have a chat, you all. If you have a website, or if you have some type of contact information and would like to share that, you can. If you don't want to share, you don't have to. But if you have a website of any kind that people can follow up on, that becomes part of the transcript of this series. And these videos are going to be logged on Dela's website, which is More to Dela Wellness. Tell them what your website is.
Okay, so it's mortidela.com/wellness foundation.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. More to Dela Wellness, moretodellawellness.com / foundation. Okay, we'll get it in the chat. And we see Jamal Nganga Foundation is in the chat now. I know Sheila, your website, we'll put her website in the chat, and then we will send that information around to everyone. But having this be part of a clearinghouse of information, which will be available on Dela's website, and we will be coming together in more ways than one. The other two things that I want to say before you all close out is that we have 2 opportunities each year that are going to be happening. I met Dela. I actually watched all of Dela's YouTube videos before I ever met her. It just is a happenstance that she and I met through a common friend in Ghana when I was in Ghana last year. And so I was on a panel, she was on a panel of African influencers. And so the African Influencers Festival that happens every year in Ghana is one of the ways that we came together and started working together in the nonprofit landscape. But that is one way that every single year when we come together, we have things that we can offer that can help people through these foundations. The other way is we have a trip in Senegal, where I am. We have a trip every year, December 26th through January 5th, that brings people from the United States and all over the place. So I would like to have Dela in Senegal at one of these trips when we have our panels in Senegal. So I also know that Sheila and Dee are interested in coming to Senegal. So we are going to make this happen. We're going to speak some life into these things, you know.
Yes.
Yeah. So as well, Jamal, he and I have talked about Kenya, because I'll be in Kenya in June, and that's where he's from. So the sky is the limit, you all, for there is no limit, put it that way. The sky is not the limit, because there is no limit in terms of how much outreach we can have. So thank you, Dela, for putting this together.
Thank you all for coming and contributing and sharing your personal stories. So it's been amazing. It's been a great turnout. So thank you, everybody.
Awesome.
Thank you, Dela. Thank you,
Thank you, Dela.
Thank you, Dee.
Thank you. It's a
Thank
wrap.
you,
Thank you all for
Sheila.
coming.
We'll talk
Yeah,
soon.
amazing.
All righty.
Yeah.
Have a good
That's
day. Have a
awesome.
good weekend.
All right,
Okay, bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.